What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
All right, I think we are all set. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another Red October edition of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the City of Vineland. We are back live. It's KB, it's Matt coming at you from Underground Studios. As you can tell, my voice is pretty much shot as I was at Game 2 of the NLCS. We're going to talk all things Phils. It's been a while since Matt and I have gotten to sit down and talk Phils, so we're going to talk everything Phillies. We're going to get set for the Eagles and Kelly Green on Sunday Night Football, and it seems like Joel Embiid might be free from Under Armour after all.
Not looking forward to talk about the Sixers again.
And, oddly enough, optimistic October. Off to a hot start for the Flyers. Good for them.
It's like those in like the fall and the spring, you get like fake fall, fake spring. We're in fake good season.
Yeah. Optimistic October is always a good time. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. We're doing a giveaway with the GOAT herself, Dewani, on our Twitter. Giving away 3 of her Red October Moments collection. Go check that out. Easy to enter. You got to follow, retweet, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check that out. The artwork is incredible, as always. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/undergroundsportsphi. You can watch us live every Wednesday when we're not at Citizens Bank Park. Twitch.tv/undergroundsportsphi. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review, and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. Matt, we've surpassed 600 subscribers due to our giveaway and the Swifties, because we posted a clip of Travis Kelce at the Eagles-Jets game, and overnight, the other night, it went from about 2,000 views, which is pretty solid for our YouTube channel shorts-wise, to upwards of 9,000. So shout out to the Swifties that found us on YouTube.
Listen, I'm a big friend of the Swifties. Appreciate Taylor Swift's music, so you know what? I am, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with that development.
So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. It's part of our giveaway stipulations. We're at 607 subscribers as well. So the road to 700 is now underway, and obviously that road to 1K full-blown, where all of our podcasts on the network have something special planned for their respective shows when we hit 1,000 subscribers. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, this show is presented by the City of Vineland, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. Through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. A big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. Matt, what's going on, brother?
I am living some kind of Red October dream.
Woo, baby, Red October is in full swing. It has been quite some time since you and I have been able to sit down and talk Phils. We have since advanced through the wild card round and absolutely fried the fish. We have once again stuck it to the Atlanta Braves in the NLDS, made Spencer Strider poop his pants, and now the Phillies sit 2 wins away from back-to-back trips to the World Series.
Yeah, what a 2.5 weeks it's been, and you're the Marlins series just going all the way back there. I think what's funny is we were talking about who we might face in the wild card. We kind of had three opponents that we were all looking at between the Cubs, the Marlins, and the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks were a team that I don't think either one of us wanted to play in a 3-game series because of the threat that they pose. Good offense, two top-end starters, and it is kind of ironic that it was a team we were hoping to avoid in the wild card round, but have found our way into the NLCS with. And it kind of reminds me of the Padres last year even, like where I think kind of didn't really want to play the Padres in that first round, and it ended up not bouncing that way, and maybe even favored both teams in some regard. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been another postseason full of memories and iconic moments. You have the Stott Grand Slam and you have the stare down from Bryce Harper. I think those are the two so far from each series. I don't know if we've gotten that from the NLCS so far, or if that's still to come. But
it's a thing to add. One is the Nikki C ring finger.
Yeah, that's definitely that one's more for the online freaks, I think. But they online freak lives matter too. Like they're very important to us as well. So maybe the Bryce Harper blowing out the candles. That could be
great too.
Maybe that could be one. But it's been such an amazing playoff run so far. Dominance on both sides of the ball as well. And we talked about how this team in August, the power really started coming back. We saw that carry through September, and they've been record-setting pace. They have 15 home runs in the last 4 games. Which is just insane. 15 home runs in the last 4 games is crazy. Like that's unsustainable, right? But it's the playoffs, right? So it's a smaller sample size to begin with, but we've seen this team get really hot over the last few years and how unstoppable they can be for 2-week, 3-week stretches. Feels like we might be in one of those stretches right now, and it's the best time of year to have these kinds of performances. And I think there's been a lot of discourse too about the playoff format. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it need changing? Anything like that? I think the biggest thing is that the Phillies' best players have performed, and these teams that have won 100+ games, the guys that they've handed out their $200, $300 million contracts to have not shown up, have not made meaningful impacts. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Castellanos, Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, you could even say JT, have all stepped up, have all had great playoffs. Harper is, we were joking about how he's like, if Barry Bonds ate Babe Ruth at the moment, if you look at like his OPS, if you look at his numbers in the playoffs, this playoffs especially, it's been spectacular. So all the way around, it's been a lot of fun. And last year, I don't want to say that last year felt fluky, but last year there was a kind of magic to it. This year, like this team deserves to be here. Yes. They're a 90-win team. If they're not in a division that has 3 playoff teams and one of the best teams in baseball and one of the best offenses in like modern history, this team is probably in like the mid to high 90s. Like honestly, like I think that gets left out of the narrative too. It's like, yeah, right, we were a 90-win team. We got through the wild card, but we're in a lot of other divisions. We're probably winning the division very easily. Yeah. I really do think that.
We're in like a 4-way tie in the AL West.
Yeah.
This is going to be the segment where we just tip our cap to the ever so incredible Sarah Langs, because the stats she puts out, especially during the postseason, are incredible, and Sarah Langs is the best. So, Matt, the most home runs in the first 8 games of a single postseason. The 2020 Yankees, which you can put an asterisk next to that because Mickey Mouse playoffs, but 17 in 7 total games. The 2023 Phillies, who threw 1 in game 2, they obviously added 2 more. 19 home runs now in 8 games in the postseason. The only other teams that are better, the 2004 Astros, who had 20, and the 2021 Red Sox, who had 20.
And we hope that we're live and dancing long enough that we can get past those. It's what they're doing, just mashing the ball is pretty unbelievable. And it's not even just that we've had that production. I think a frustrating thing from the Braves series that you've even seen in this Arizona series so far is leaving some guys on base, and it felt like, especially against Atlanta, there was going to be moments where that could have come back to bite you, and I think it very much did. potentially too in game 2. But
Mm-hmm.
The offense has really come alive. And again, it's the guys that you paid that have stepped up. Trey's had a great playoff so far. I'm already ready to say Bryce Harper is the best free agent signing in Philadelphia sports history. I don't think there's ever, and I'm starting to think it's not even close. I don't think there's ever been a guy that has come here with the expectation that he has delivered on. Now listen, like Sosa's delivered a championship. Maybe this is the year, who knows? But all things considered, I have never seen a playoff performer like Bryce Harper in this city ever, in any sport. There's no one that comes close. He is one of the best baseball performers I've ever seen in the playoffs. Like truly, not even just if you're counting the Phillies. Like there are very few players through history that have done what he has done, and with like the weight of all that expectation too. Like he is unbelievable. He is worth every penny, every year of that contract. He's worth double.
He's
that.
underpaid.
He really is. He's just a really, really special player. And I think nationally too, he's getting that recognition a lot. I was listening to like a few like national podcasts. They were talking about him being like the face of Major League Baseball right now. And I think that's really fair and probably true. Like he is. And what's great about him too is he kind of just, he cares. Like he cares. Like
I think the whole pandering narrative is dead.
Yeah.
He wants to fucking win here just as badly as the fans want this team to win. And it shows. Anytime he's in a press conference, anytime he's out on the field, he's playing with 110% effort because he wants to win a championship.
Yeah, I think too, we talked so much coming into the playoffs what this team is like and their mentality, and we compared them a lot to those Cardinals, Giants teams that the Phillies had to lose to, in like the 2010, 2011, 2012 season. Like they had, it's so hard, especially in a sport like baseball that has a lot of math behind it, and you can understand this game in a statistical way, and there's a stat for just about everything, but you can't quantify like mentality. It's maybe a cop out, I don't know, but like there is something about the mentality of this team that is just different from other teams. Like, and they have that just like cutthroat type of spirit, which is important. And just like I said, a great resilient mentality. Again, you saw it with Bryce's latching on to the RCS quote. And it was a harmless quote, and it gets reported out and it comes back to him. And what does he do? He uses it, whether he will admit it or not, but he uses it to fuel his fire. And you see that in the stare down, and you see that with great players across all of sports history. They will imagine slights against them. I can remember watching the Jordan documentary, and he would make up scenarios. He would literally fabricate stories to give him just a little extra juice, to give him some kind of motivation, some sort of edge. And I think you're seeing that with this team. They have that edge, and man, they're just so much fun to watch. And I want to give a lot of credit to Wheeler and Nola, who have been.
Wheeler might be the 1A best free agent signing in Philadelphia sports history.
I think you genuinely have the two best free agent signings, and also again two of the best playoff performers I've ever.
Literally,
Zach Wheeler's one of the best playoff pitchers and we've been very lucky to see some of the best pitching in
Zach
Phillies
Wheeler
history,
is like,
in our life. But
I forget what stat it is, but Sarah Langs posted it. He moved ahead of Mariano Rivera on the list. That's crazy.
What's the Mariano Rivera stat? More people walked on the moon. They got a hit off him in the playoffs, which is mind-blowing. It's like my favorite is there are more trees in the Canadian forests than there are stars in the universe. Yeah. It's one of those things like that can't possibly be true, and you go like that's true. Zach Wheeler's unbelievable, and through 6 innings, I should say, he's had a little bit of a penchant for, that 6th inning to get done. But like when he is on, he's unbelievable. Nola was great last night against Arizona, and I think speaking more just about this series, they're up 2-0, going out to Arizona. That is the ideal situation, and of course it is, right? But I think you handled these 2 games perfectly at home. I think the biggest fear I had with playing Arizona in that 3-game wildcard series is they remind me, they have shades, I think, of the Phillies last year, right? In that they have like two really top end pitchers, some big performers, some guys that can really hurt you.
Some young talent.
Some young talent for sure. Like they're kind of a team just playing very like loose, right? Like playing honestly with house money at this point. You know, there's really no pressure. There's honestly no pressure on either team, which I think is interesting. You know, like it's very similar to the NLCS last year, where both teams are like, yeah, we're happy to be here, but we obviously want to go to the World Series and win. But like, I don't know that was necessarily expectation. I don't know. For the Phillies, I think it was the expectation to get back to this stage. For Arizona, I don't think that was the expectation coming into this year. In fact, they had to do some work at the trade deadline to try and get some extra pitching and some depth. But I think this is a great situation to be in because we know that after Merrill Kelly, the rotation is not as strong for Arizona. I think avoiding one of those first 2 game splits was really big for the Phillies, and they have a good opportunity if this series not returning to Philadelphia. It obviously could. Arizona's a good team. We've seen them flip a switch very quickly. They had not lost a game coming into this series, all playoffs, and we see them. We talked about the Phillies offense being high octane and quick to turn a switch. They can do the same thing, but I think you've put yourself in a really strong position now if you're the Phillies to hopefully close this out and not even have to get on a plane back to Philadelphia to play a game.
More Sarah Lang stats. This one is a Zach Wheeler stat. This is the one, Matt. Zach Wheeler has a 0.70 whip in 9 career postseason starts. That's the lowest in any 9-start span in postseason history, and it's his first 9. The next on that list, can you guess the pitcher who's next on that list who is at a 0.73?
Trying to think of the most dominant playoff performing pitchers. What's the inverse of Clayton Kershaw? Who is the?
That would be 2012 to 2016 Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah. I was gonna guess one of the Giants. I was actually gonna guess Lincecum. But I think that's just my own my own trauma speaking. And Bumgarner was ironically a Philly that someone that we really wanted to be a Philly.
Yeah,
I can remember. So Wheeler. I was listening to a podcast that they were talking to about how criminally underrated he is, and that he was on that Mets team that had DeGrom, Syndergaard, and him.
Matt
Harvey, and he has had the best outcome out of all of those guys. Which honestly, I think at the time, if you ranked those guys, he would have been
crazy.
He would have been the 4th. And I don't even think that would have necessarily been a disservice because he also had massive question marks over health. Even when we signed him, there was just question marks. He hadn't really put together a full season performance.
Had a lot of Tommy John issues,
right? And he is and. I've been blown away by him. He's been unbelievable. So, man, this Phillies team, they're so much fun to root for. They got great energy, and obviously we know all the advantages that the home crowd and home field advantage brings you. So, like I said, we're going out to the desert. I expect that we will drop a game out there, maybe even 2, but. I just think the way that this Phillies team is played, you have to say that they are strong favorites to close this series out in Arizona and not even have to have it come back to Philly. And even if they do, I think this team has just shown last year and then again these playoffs that they are just really a force to be reckoned with at home. I should have looked this up. What is their numbers at home in terms of just outscoring opponents, because it's got to be insane.
There is an insane stat that I have in terms of versus their opponent. The Phillies have hit more home runs this postseason, 18 home runs this postseason, than Phillies pitchers have surrendered runs, which is 13.
It's unbelievable, especially at home. They've really been mashing, 10-0 last night. 15-3, they've outscored the Diamondbacks so far this series. The Braves series, you get the 10-2 and the 3-1 game.
It's 13-3.
Yeah, and then against the Marlins, 7-1 and 4-1. I mean, these are
39.
These are like dog days of summer.
Yeah.
Types of.
They have a plus 23 run differential in the postseason.
That's. They're a team that is not only very good and made the right moves and pushed the right buttons in the offseason and throughout the course of the year, but they've also. This is like they're in really good form right now, and it's the way they're playing is the kind of way that you don't even want an off day. Like I think there's a small part, maybe even a big part of the Phillies that probably wish that today wasn't even a travel day, that they were just playing a game, because I just think it's a lot of it is working for them right now, and you kind of just want every day to have a game, because I think the way they're playing, it's I don't want to say it's easy for them, but they've just been making it look easy.
The Phillies have trailed at the end of only 2 full innings this postseason. That's the fewest through the first 8 games of a postseason. Prior to that, the prior fewest through the first 8 games was 7 by the 2014 Kansas City Royals.
It's interesting company to find yourself with. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm so happy that we have playoff baseball back. People are as enthused and energetic as they are. And like I said, it's a fun team to root for. And these are the good days too. Like this is what you want when you're out in the wilderness for like 10 years and you don't have playoff baseball. You would just want to have runs like this that give you some great memories. No matter what happens over the next 2-3 weeks, I hope we get to watch this team play another 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun, and it's so great as a fan to have a team that has spent the money, has spent it in good areas, has clearly addressed what was the problem for them last year in that World Series, right? And that one, they added some extra offensive depth and someone like Trey Turner who can be a difference maker for you in a series like we've seen, and they went out and they got guys that can throw the ball hard as shit. that is what mattered, because we had to deal with the same thing last year against the Astros, and we did not handle that task very well. And I think it's everywhere you look. I think the Phillies done a lot of good things and pushed the right buttons in the right places, and have put themselves again in just a really good position to go back to World Series. Like that's also something that just doesn't. Even going back-to-back NLCS is not a given, especially when you're coming from the wild card. Now if you're winning your division year after year, then we can talk about that. But ask the Dodgers and Braves, what that's like. But
there's only been 2 teams this century to go to repeat as National League champions. It's the 08-09 Phillies and the 17-18 Dodgers.
Yeah. So.
Lowest ERA in the first 8 games of a single postseason, Matt. The 2023 Phillies are just second on the list, only behind the 1983 Orioles, who, by the way, beat the Phillies in the World Series. They had a 1.23 ERA through the first 8 games of a single postseason. The Phillies, 1.39.
They've been really good, and you're gonna see in this series too. You're gonna get a Ranger Day. You're gonna get Taiwan, which is really interesting.
Back at his old stomping grounds.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing too with I think this being a longer series against the Diamondbacks, I think it nullifies a little bit what the Diamondbacks are good at, which is they're kind of like one of those like efficient teams, but when you stretch that out, maybe they don't quite have that depth to do it. I think what's been interesting about the Diamondbacks too, really lacking, and this is what I loved again about the Phillies in that Braves series. They were aggressive, especially with stealing bases, especially in Game 1. They immediately were just going for knockout punches with getting aggressive with stealing bases. Rob Thompson was aggressive in Game 1 of that Braves series, especially with pitching and making switches and being bold. If I'm a Diamondbacks fan, I think I'm frustrated that they're not trying to pull those same levers, because they have the speed. That is, I think, the biggest advantage Diamondbacks have in this series is they have, not everyone in their lineup has it, but I think the guys who have speed on the team have very.
Corbin Carroll had 54 stolen bases this year, and he looks like he has the yips on the bases.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the manager saying that. I don't
Like he when he's on base so far, even watching game 1 at home and watching game 2 yesterday in person, like he looks like he has no desire to run against JT Realmuto.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the manager directive. I don't know if that's his own confidence in because JT is obviously as good as a base runner as Corbin Carroll is. JT is just as good at picking guys off. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Maybe once you get back to Arizona, you have the home crowd. Maybe that's where something too. Things like that. This can be a team that I think really can switch momentum. We saw it again in the Dodgers season. They had 4 home runs in an inning. They have the ability to flip a game on its head, and that's something obviously the Phillies are going to have to manage. And again, a 2-0 lead doesn't mean anything. You still have to close out the series, and this is still a very dangerous team. But like I said, you've, I think, done maybe the hardest part of this series, which is getting through against Zach Gallen and against Merrill Kelly with wins and, putting yourself in a position now where the rotation starts to drop off a little bit to do some damage and maybe even get a crack. They really haven't had a lot of cracks at the bullpen either. And the one time they did last night, it really collapsed in on the Diamondbacks. So that's going to be interesting too.
Phillies are 28-11 in the postseason at Citizens Bank Park. It is the best winning percentage of any home team at their home stadium in playoff history.
And again, it sounds like such a cliche. It sounds like such my sports team is the best. Or weird, but Trey Turner said it. Trey Turner said when he came to Phillies, he saw the atmosphere and wanted to play in that atmosphere. That was a legit. Was that the only reason he came here? No, I think the $300 million whatever we gave him
his
was
wife also being from the area, and
right. But as a player, you do want to play in that environment. That is
Eric Kratz said it on Foul Territory. He said, the way that Citizens Bank Park, and he's played at Citizens Bank Park during the dark years. He said that atmosphere is the way you attract free agents to your city.
Absolutely, everyone takes note of it, and it does matter. Fan interaction and engagement and noise level and intensity absolutely plays a role, and you've seen that not even just in the postseason. You even see that in the regular season. This crowd is certainly up for it, but it does really go up a level in the playoffs. And again, I don't want to do the thing Philly is different, whatever, but I've been watching a lot of the other playoff series, and there are very few crowds and moments that I think have even come close to a lot of the Philly stuff. Even for the wild card series, everyone's standing, and that's, you look at I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to, actually I am trying to dance on the Braves grave. Honestly, it looked like goddamn July 19th out there. That's, and I don't want to paint with broad strokes, but God, man, I know that they've been to the playoffs a ton and whatever, but man, it was lifeless. And I know it in person is always a little different on the screen, but I know what I saw, which was.
But it's also to your point, watching Citizens Bank Park on the screen is different than what you see at any of these other stadiums.
Absolutely, you see the people standing. You see the limbs flying when it's a home run. You see
Bryson Stott's walk-up song echoing through your television.
It is a different experience, and every
when you have Jeff Passan saying that's an SEC football environment.
I don't think that's wrong either. I really do think and the fans have made it a real special experience for the players and a really tough place to come and win games. And it opens up an interesting discussion too. We don't want to talk about World Series, any of that. We don't want to talk about the World Series, but there is the reality that the Phillies could have home field advantage in a theoretical potential World Series. What would that mean? Even having home field advantage in this series, I think, is a huge benefit. Huge benefit to them. Getting the first, I really do think this could be a 1-1 series coming back to Philly if this is in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I really do feel that way. But it's been, and two, you look at the quality of pitching that this team has faced. It's not like they've been beaten up on They got
low-level
3
talent.
home runs against Spencer Strider, against Zach Gallen, and against Merrill Kelly. That's
Crazy.
those are Spencer Strider's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and Gallen and Merrill Kelly are one of the
Zach
best.
Gallen started the All-Star game for the National League this year.
One of the best 1-2 punches in baseball. Honestly, like
Mhm.
that is a Wheeler Nola type of.
I mean, for
duo
crying
there.
out loud, before the season started and before like Taijuan Walker was signed, it was like, I wonder if the Phillies could trade for Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, and he was largely pretty good last night. It wasn't until he leaves and it gets relieved that it really, really fell apart. And again, even when Spencer Strider is he's thrown his best stuff, and Schwarber's like,
All right.
Schwarber's come alive in this series, which has been great. What a guy.
Kyle Schwarber in his postseason career, this goes back to when he's with the Cubs. I forget if he was in the postseason with either the Nationals or the Red Sox too, but all of his home runs in the playoffs in his career have either come in the League Championship Series or the World Series.
He really is like, he's the same guy. You got to wait till June. You just wait till mid-October for him.
June-tober.
Yeah.
Citizens Bank Park has the Schwarber Fest banners flying across it too, and the planes and everything, and like, we've been to games, we've been to home openers, we've been to big games at Citizens Bank Park. Going to Citizens Bank Park in the postseason is a sporting event that I have nothing to compare it to. I've been to Eagles games, and this is saying something. Sure, there's more fans in an Eagles game. The environment and the vibes at Citizens Bank Park in the postseason blow an Eagles game out of the water.
Yeah, it's
insane.
It is
and the camaraderie too of like fan to fan, like everybody is just like good vibes, ready to like, it's like the fans, we have a mission, and it is to rattle the opposing team no matter what we have to do, and it is one of the coolest things. And like you're seeing, we've started to see it obviously with the Swifties coming out to Chiefs games and everything, but like the postseason with baseball is when you start to see like the celebrities kind of come out and everything, and you're seeing the best of the best come out to Citizens Bank Park. You had Jason and Travis Kelce at Game 1. It's Always Sunny crew was there last night. Tim McGraw was at Game 1 of the NLCS. Like, you're seeing Phillies alumni come back and are taken in the game. Like, to have Jamie Moyer throwing out a first pitch, to have Raul Ibanez and Joe Blanton throwing out first pitches. Like, I can't even imagine who's going to be in the building. Hopefully we take care of business the rest of the way against the Diamondbacks. But, like, the World Series atmosphere is going to be insane once the Phillies get there. I saw Charlie O'Connor tweeted this yesterday too. It's like the Braves series felt different because like you wanted to crush their souls. The Diamondbacks just feel like they're in the way of the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's gonna be. I mean, we were talking earlier today about the ticket prices in Arizona, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's some Philly representation in the Diamondback Stadium. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait till tomorrow evening. We get to see. I think they have the early
5 o'clock,
which is bizarre that we get the 8:07 starts. I think that actually kind of helps though. Like if you can get it a little later into the night, you let people have some time after work to engage in a few extracurriculars.
Yeah,
I think
5 o'clock start local time here, 2 o'clock start in Arizona, which I think
I'm pissed if I'm a Diamondbacks fan if that's
100%.
That's
like
your
I think
first
that's
NLCS game that you're
since
hosting
2007,
and you cut out of work early, get the kids out of school. Like,
that sucks, and that plays a part in and that's like no full on excuse because obviously if that was the case here, the place would be fucking sold out and people would be tailgating at 5 a.m. But it does suck because it is doubled up now too because the ALCS is in Texas for the next 3 with no off days. So now you have the double games again like you did the other night. And I don't know, the American League Championship Series has been very interesting through 2 games as well. the Rangers look like a fucking juggernaut of an offense. Their pitching, starting-wise, has been incredible for them. They've gotten out of some jams that most teams wouldn't be able to navigate themselves out of. And somehow, someway, their bullpen still hasn't been, broken. They've bent quite a bit.
Leclerc is
crazy.
Holy shit.
Crazy.
Deals. He is. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, start talking about, but it's been fun. I don't think the Astros are out of this by any stretch. I thought they were really close to. I was kind of in and out on the on game 2 with them. I was doing some other stuff, but they got my full attention. Bothering now, it's like it's Houston. Like I don't know, and then Altuve up and nearly, maybe a few more feet, but I do think Houston still is really alive in this series. But yeah, Texas they've only lost one game?
None.
They're undefeated. Okay, right.
Because they were a wild card for not winning the division. They swept Tampa in that empty stadium.
And they swept the Orioles, too.
The Orioles.
Yeah, so they haven't lost so far this postseason. And it's weird, too, because they were kind of struggling down the stretch. This was a team that beginning of the year was high. I mean,
they led their division for 180 days.
Yeah.
And lost the division in the final 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah. They think mid-August it started to kind of go downhill for them, and had a team that was coming in with a ton of and it just it just goes to show too what winning a wild card can kind of do for you and build some momentum. Yeah, they're definitely I think whether you're talking about the Phillies or the Diamondbacks, I think whoever comes out of the AL is a huge threat. I honestly, whether it's the Rangers who are playing red hot right now, and I think can beat anyone in a 7-game series for sure. We've seen them do it already, but there's just something about the Astros that are just
they're like Emperor Palpatine. They don't disappear.
It's like old magic. It's like it kind of just lingers, and I think you're not supposed to even talk about it.
There's no reason Justin Verlander should have returned to form the way that he did after getting traded from the Mets to the Astros.
Right.
And yet here we are, Justin Verlander, starting at game 1 of the ALCS, and didn't pitch poorly either. Just the Rangers were able to, hold the Astros offense scoreless, which was very funny to watch.
It's just so how about this? What would a Mets fan say if in March you said, well, you're going to have Verlander's going to be pitching game 1 of a championship series, and Scherzer's going game 3. They'd be like, this is amazing. And Scherzer going game 3? Like, what is that?
Who did we trade for?
Yeah, who did we get?
We bring DeGrom back?
Oh, man. DeGrom's on the...
He's Tommy John.
Yeah, but even he, Mets just catching all kinds of strays. That's unbelievable.
I mean, Tommy Pham was on the Mets, and now he's playing on the Diamondbacks.
Well, he's there.
Yeah.
Scherzer tonight? Worried about that at all? I think I would be. I don't know.
If I'm a Rangers fan, I'm kind of worried because Scherzer hasn't pitched in a month or a month and a half. This is his first start.
It has a Spencer Strider last year feel with the added bonus of being 800 years old and having collapsed in the playoffs before.
While injured.
Right.
We saw it last year against the Padres. I mean, if Scherzer hangs one pitch to Yordan Alvarez, that thing's flying to the moon.
Unbelievable, dude. He is.
That trade, when it pops up all the time on my timelines, it just still blows my mind to this day.
What was the trade for?
So Yordan Alvarez, believe it or not, was a Los Angeles Dodgers prospect at one point. Yordan is now 26 years old.
He's unbelievable, dude. Jesus.
And Yordan was traded at the trade deadline in 2018, I want to say. Let me see here. Yordan Alvarez trade.
He's a guy that I think, like Bryce, You kind of want to pitch around.
John Boy was talking about this the other day. Like, Yordan is the guy you 100% are just, like, pitching around where, like, some pitchers will still feed Bryce some pitches because it's like he'll take some healthy hacks at them and sometimes he'll miss. Yordan's, if you hang something over the middle of the plate, Yordan's not missing that.
It's it reminds me of Tom Coughlin yelling at the Giants punter for the miracle in the Meadowlands, where it's like, told you to, like,
yes,
kind of put it out of play. It's like if you put it anywhere near the plate, they're taking a mound visit just to chew you out for even thinking.
So on August 1st, 2016, the Astros acquired Cuban infielder outfielder Yordan Alvarez from the Dodgers in exchange for Josh Fields. It was a minor deadline deal they made in 2016, and the Dodgers needed help with their bullpen, asked about Fields, a reliever who was putting up good numbers in AAA, but had struggled with the big league club, posting a 6.89 ERA in 15 appearances. Then Jeff Lunhow, who was the president of baseball operations at the time, asked for Yordan Alvarez in return. LA initially shot down the deal, believing Houston was asking for Yadier Alvarez, a pitcher they had just signed out of Cuba for $16 million. Lunhow instead wanted the little-known first baseman who had just signed out of Cuba for $2 million a month prior. Fields, in 22 games for the Dodgers in 2016, threw to a 2.79 ERA and 2 1/3 innings of shutout baseball in the postseason. The trade took quite a turn in 2017 when the Astros and Dodgers, of course, met in the World Series. Alvarez was still a minor leaguer at the time, but Fields was very much key to the Dodgers bullpen, appeared in 57 games that season. Fields got the ball in the 10th inning of Game 2, faced the heart of the Astros lineup. He faced 3 batters, recorded 0 outs, gave up 3 hits, and 2 home runs. The Astros won Game 2, went on to win the World Series in 7 games, and Fields never appeared in another playoff game and was out of the majors after the 2018 season.
That's unbelievable. Yordan is... It's almost like I would avoid the Astros just to watch every Yordan at, but
like, he's unreal. I mean, if you had your druthers, say the Phillies take care of business, do you want to face the Rangers, who historically the Phillies have, for whatever reason, struggled at Globe Life Park? But then you kind of get the fun storyline. Season started in Texas. Final matchup is against Texas. You wouldn't have home field advantage against the Rangers because they swept you in the beginning of the season. Or do you want the World Series matchup repeat from last year? Home field advantage against the Astros, who you can't count them out, but I think we can collectively say the Astros don't look like the same team they were last year. Like, something is a little different about that team.
I will also say, though, if the Astros climb out of a 2-0 hole to get to the World Series,
Very
I would
true.
be terrified.
Very true.
I don't love the matchup with either team. I don't love the repeat thing with the Astros, and as much as I've talked up how good this mentality of the Phillies team, I would maybe worry you're trying to settle last year's score a little bit, like you're kind of fighting an old fight in some ways, but having home field advantage, I think honestly having home field advantage is massive for the Phillies especially.
Mm-hmm. The Astros are not a good team at home this year for whatever reason, both regular and postseason. Like, they are a better road team, and to throw into the mix of like them having to come to Citizens Bank Park for 4 games potentially if it goes the distance, like, I don't know. I feel like last year at Citizens Bank Park too, in terms of like the home field advantage, like, it was there, but it was a lot of like Phillies fans were happy to finally have the postseason back. This year, it is much more like, this is our home stadium. You're not fucking winning here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I would just take the home field advantage and just all that brings.
I would love the American League Championship Series to go 7 games.
Yes.
Like, let those two teams beat up on each other. There's no additional rest either, no matter what. The World Series starts on October 27th.
Right.
So there's no, additional rest time no matter what happens. So let them beat up on each other. Let them use their pitching. Let them use their bullpens. Like, I'm here for that.
Absolutely. I'm rooting for the Astros tonight.
It's going to be a very interesting series for them down the stretch. And I mean, if you want to continue to get your vibes up, we got two awesome people who can do that for you. Our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Matt, I don't know if you saw, we got the Attaboy Harper shirts on sale. They look spectacular. You can go get those bad boys, rock those during the postseason. Our good pal Jack Fritz tweeted this when the stare down happened. He said, "The Harper stare down is this generation's Allen Iverson step over."
I mean, you don't see that in baseball a lot either. You know, you don't get the kind of moments like that, and definitely felt, even in the moment, like you were watching something iconic.
So you can gear up for Red October, gear up for the Eagles, the Flyers, the basketball team, the Union at PHI Apparel Company. You can get your Underground Sports Philadelphia merch as well. But get the Attaboy Harper shirts, get your Philly Dog shirts, and when you go to checkout, use code Underground. You get 10% off any and all merch orders. Supports us directly, supports PHI Apparel Company, who are the best merch partners in the game. So be sure to use code Underground when you get your merch at phiapparel.co, code Underground for 10% off. And then you can also check out our pals at FOCO, where you can get your Phillies overalls and look like myself. You can look like Garrett Stubbs or the rest of the Phillies team. They got the red pinstripes. They got the full-on reds, the powder blue throwbacks, and the powder blue with the paint splatters on them that Garrett Stubbs was wearing in the clubhouse when they were remixing Dixieland Delight, which I think is my favorite new Phillies tradition. Go to FOCO.com. The link is in our description to get your Phillies overalls and everything else that FOCO has to offer for the best fans on the planet. Shout out to FOCO for supporting the podcast. Do the Phillies sweep?
No, I think they drop a game here, and
so it'll be Brandon Pfaadt in Game 3 for the Diamondbacks against Ranger Suarez, and then Bob Nightingale announced today the Diamondbacks are going with a bullpen game in Game 4, and they will let Zach Gallen, keep his fingers crossed for regular rest for a potential Game 5.
Yeah. I think you probably end up just dropping one in Arizona. They don't feel like a team that's gonna pack it in. They don't feel mentally. Last night was obviously tough. You lose 10-0, but I think they rally and get at least one at home.
I think the one would be the Game 4, because from a Phillies perspective too, we don't know who's going to be starting that, either Christopher Sanchez or Taijuan Walker. Both of those guys haven't pitched in a month.
Right.
So that's a little tough too. So that's kind of the first game this postseason for the Phillies where it's like, okay, we got to navigate pitching a little more in depth than we have throughout the first X amount of games of the postseason. It would be fun to close it out in Arizona though, and potentially see Garrett Stubbs do a cannonball into that pool.
Okay, I'm just learning this with the Madison Bumgarner's on the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I don't love that. I knew this, but then it's like one of those things and then you remember. Evan Longoria also being on the Diamondbacks, like a familiar, well, I shouldn't even say familiar. I just remember him pretty much only from the 2008 World Series. So
it's his first time back in the championship series since 2008.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Evan. You seem like a great guy.
There were scattered Eva chants at the ballpark last night too.
Classic.
Which was very classic 2008. I've also chosen every game that I've been to so far to hit during Dan Baker's lineup introductions of the opposing team with a classic SpongeBob, "Oh brother, this guy stinks." Tommy Pham got it from the Diamondbacks. From me, the Braves, it was Marcell Ozuna, and then John Birdie got it from the Marlins, because if you're a team starting a guy with the last name Birdie in the postseason, you're so unserious.
Yeah, you deserve it's coming to you.
So hopefully the Phils can lock it down this weekend and advance to their second straight World Series in as many seasons. And, I mean, there was never a doubt last night, Matt, because oddly enough, as I'm walking the concourse, I met John Middleton.
Classic.
Which was wild. He was just greeting fans at the first base gate. We talk about this all the time in terms of, comparing ownership groups and owners in this city. I think Phillies get two of the best with Jeffrey Lurie and John Middleton.
Yeah.
They take pride in what they own and want to win at all costs, as opposed to some other teams that you see around professional sports. And I think that is a huge part of why the Phillies have been successful in getting back to where they are.
Absolutely. Yeah. For all the faults, for all the some of the other owners in this city, having people that are willing to spend money and spend it smartly too is a good thing. And listen and defer to people, I think, is really the biggest thing.
100%. We'll touch on some other topics here real quick to wrap up the show. Obviously, the Eagles gearing up for Sunday Night Football against the Dolphins. The Kelly Greens will be on display. And you nailed it preseason, Matt. You said the Eagles would lose their first game to the Jets.
Thank you.
You know ball.
I do. I don't know if I think I might have also said they lose to the Dolphins.
I feel like
I feel like I might have said.
Now, granted, this was with Aaron Rodgers in the lineup, but
well,
never know.
The spirits talk to me from the future. They don't tell me all the details, just some of the big stuff.
So October, you had a 3-2 month of October.
This is where it gets tough for them. So
yeah. So we'll see how things play out on Sunday night, and it does feel different from last year too in terms of like this time of the year where like obviously Eagles 5-1 is still nothing to sneeze at. That is tied for best record in all of football, but like last year it really felt like people were still like gravitating towards the Eagles even though the Phillies were on this run. Right now it feels like Phillies are priority number one. Like if you have the multiple TV setup, the Phillies are getting the main screen.
Yeah, which is Eagles being the second sister is
rare territory.
Rare territory for them. They are. This is very much an Eagles city, and doesn't. It takes a lot to put them on that, like you said, that second screen. But yeah, still been. Listen, 5-1. I think you take that at the start of the season. I really think you do.
Yeah, it's been a very fun time to be a baseball town for a little bit here, and hopefully it continues, and hopefully the Eagles get back on track and figure some things out. Julio Jones, though, now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Sure, I guess.
Tell Eagles fans that 5 years ago, and you're jumping for joy. I mean, Julio is obviously not what he once was at age 34 and having the foot issues he's had in the past, but I think one of the intangible values of bringing in a veteran like a Julio Jones, where he knows the position so well, you can make the argument he's a top 10 receiver of all time. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's got camaraderie with guys in the receiver room too. Obviously played with A.J. Brown in Tennessee and played with Olamide Zaccheaus in Atlanta. And Devontae Smith has talked numerous times about how Julio Jones is like his idol.
Yeah, he's even following his footsteps by missing practice with a hamstring injury. That's awesome. So
to have just Julio's, I think, knowledge of the game and just the way that he reads defenses is valuable. And obviously Quez Watkins is on IR. I think we can all say Julio Jones' hands right now are better than Quez Watkins' hands in a lot of aspects. So, I mean, even if you get one game out of Julio Jones that is like, oh, shit, like Julio Jones just had like a game where like if it's like 70 receiving yards and he scores a touchdown, like that's a win.
We'll see. I think he's washed personally, but no, listen, it's not bad depth to add at all. And I think too, someone of his like pedigree as well. And
he's clearly ring chasing.
Yeah, which I respect.
I'll take this city being a ring chasing city.
Absolutely. Always cool with that. Welcome aboard.
I loved our pals over at Kenwood Beer. Go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny tracker. See who's got it on tap. Now available in New Jersey. They quote tweeted the announcement tweet and said, signed to get a custom Eagles Kelly Green jersey for a week and then announced his retirement.
Sick. Good choice.
Good choice. But yeah, Eagles back in action on Sunday. Flyers winning some games, oddly enough.
I'm not speaking about any Wells Fargo occupant for at least 3 more months. There's just nothing. There's nothing there.
Obviously, this team is not supposed to be good this year, which we all know.
They're gonna start like 6-2. Ensure that they get outside the top 5.
I do have to tip the cap, though, to Travis Konechny. I don't know if you saw last night. Gets like a 10-minute misconduct penalty, lays a guy out, Flyers win. He and his missus go right across the street to Citizens Bank Park.
I respect that.
Tip of the cap there to TK for that.
I do.
Flyers 2-1, I believe, to start the season. And I saw people tweeting about like Wells Fargo Center, like the crowd's a little lighter than years past, which I think is a positive. Kind of vet out a little bit of just like we're going to come no matter what type of fans that may have stuck around. It's like, hey, they're rebuilding, and they have said the word rebuild. So, we'll see. They put the video out of the new locker room too, which looks incredible. Going to be working this season to get our old pal Brooke Destro on the podcast a few times throughout the Flyers season. Obviously, she's covering the Flyers for NBC Sports Philadelphia. She's going to be around the team a ton. And then other Philly sports news, it seems like Joel Embiid's got a new shoe deal on the horizon, Matt, with Skechers.
The Skechers are like cool again, I think, so.
I saw somebody say, haha, insert retirement joke here, haha.
Hey, man. Joe Montana wears them, all right?
Hey.
So.
And since we last talked, too, Joel committed to Team USA for the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to dunk on Rudy Gobert.
And can you blame him for that? I certainly can't. Yeah, he's ring chasing there, and he'll ring chase probably in like a year or two with the way the Sixers are going. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that, like...
He's texting Giannis, hey, bro, always love the way you grind. What's up?
Can we vacation in Greece?
Jesus.
He's buying horses with Jokic.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say right now there's no need for us to talk about that team.
No.
For the foreseeable future.
Honestly, what is there to say? I'm not doing the Harden thing. I'm not.
No.
They're not sucking me in.
We have a baseball team that is 2 wins away from the fucking World Series again. There's no need to be talking about this team.
It is Phil season, and then it is Bird season.
The Eagles are 5-1. The Union are on their way to the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe in January.
Maybe. It's a hard maybe, too. Good grief. But by then, the Phillies will be re-signing players, and we'll be gearing up for spring training.
Shohei Ohtani jerseys to be buying, so...
Sorry about your luck. That's all we got for you guys. Make sure you are following us on the socials at UndergroundPHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI, Twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. Follow Matt at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia, where we are currently at 608 subscribers as of this portion of the pod. So go subscribe. We're on that road to 700 and on that road to 1,000. Make sure you get your merch, phiapparel.co, code underground for 10% off. Get those Attaboy Harper shirts, get the Philly Dog shirts, and support us. You can get your Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast merch as well. And, of course, this podcast is presented by the City of Vineland. And whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process. and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. It's another Red October edition, episode number 578 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. For Matt, I'm KB. We'll hopefully be talking to you post NLCS champs clinching over the weekend. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. Go Phils. We are signing off. Peace.